Oh, hi there. It is I, the one and only, me, Midweek. It is time to look at some fun stuff here. I have the Mazda. It's done. Look at this. Not built on stream. Oh, I should check my audio. I think it should be good. The problem is when I was doing the time lapse, I was recording using OBS, and because of that, I changed audio settings because I was watching GDQ while I was doing I was gonna do a test to make sure it's all cheesy, and I completely forgot because I was distracted. I get distracted easy because I was watching something before I started streaming. Okay, sounds good. Yeah, I was watching Slow-Mo Guys. And then during the stream, or during the build of this car, I was watching GDQ. So, here it is. It is done. The Midweek Channel Racing Team Mazda 3. Yeah! Here's the side. We got some of these stickers. Needs some more pushing to get down. But yeah, look at that. We got the Midweek logo. It prints beautifully. You can't really see the purple there. If we zoom in. Zoom in, please. You can kind of see the purple, but that's because I shrank the logo down a lot. I could have went bigger on the logo. It was hard to tell because I used Sticker U, I think, the company, because they don't do car decals, but they do stickers. And this is a vinyl sticker, removable vinyl sticker. And it came out wonderfully. We have like Savox, Tamiya, the little colored squares, the 27, Midweek Channel Racing Team. The squares and the number and the Midweek Channel Racing Team all come from the same place that I got the custom Avante stickers from. You'll notice there's no body posts. I can lift it up. It's because there's magnets. We'll get to that in a second. RC Mart, because I've been buying all the stuff there. This is the back end. This is Mazda 3, some more shapes on the back. The front has that wonderful art. And then the other side, woo, same stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the car, the complete built-in car, and then we're going to watch the time lapse, and I'll talk over the time lapse. So there's the body. Inside, you see the magnets are glued in. My headphones are sliding down my mic arm. And here is the inside of the car. We're going to see a lot of this as where's the battery? I brought a battery because I brought the controller. I was going to turn it on, show it off. Where's the battery? What is going on? Oh, it's up here. I found it. So anyways, lots of things done. We have oil-filled shocks, of course. I replaced the springs that came with the shocks. These are actually the springs that come with the friction shocks that the TTO2 normally comes with. They were a bit longer. We have Yeah Racing heatsink with an Osinki all aluminum body fan and an Osinki all aluminum like air suction thing. There's the it's the same motor. It's in the Avante. It's the 15.5 turn. Same speed controller. The TBLO 04 SR. There is a Savox servo in here under these aluminum. All the steering, every single part of the steering is still in the box. This is all replaced steering. Aluminum, replacement arms, replacement servo horn. All this is new. Look at the magnet mounts up front here. I bought two different kinds, and I'm glad I did because I couldn't get this kind to work on the front. Parts from that front I used here as a way to kind of elevate the antenna up along here, so it gets a little more reach. We have a carbon fiber strip. It's supposed to reinforce the car. I just got it so it gives me more place to mount stuff. I tied off a lot of stuff to it. As you can see here, I tied off the fan here. I tied off the cables to the motor here, the receivers up here, and I tied off the battery connector. As you can see, it's a very, this is the most important part. Very, very structurally important. It's not at all. But it all works out beautifully. That it sits very nicely like that. Turn on the thing. This is actually pretty loud. I'll move it, Mike. When I was running it yesterday, I don't know how loud that is on the mic. When I was running it yesterday and I stuck my finger up here to feel the motor, I felt a lot of warm air coming out of here. So there's cooling going on, which is good. These Savox servos are very fast. It works, it's very responsive. It's a little too responsive, one might say. Maybe it's because I'm used to driving the Avante, which is a much wider wheelbase. This is very... It tends to kind of spin out. I can almost drift it now. I want to get some drift tires for it to see if I can drift it, because it almost drifts now. It's just these tires are too... they're too grippy. And I might have to glue them because the back ones were kind of coming off. And I think that might be because I was trying to drift it. I did put the foam in there. And with the foam in there, they're very soft still. So they would have been way too soft without the foam. So the foam was really needed. But yeah, it doesn't bounce when I drop front and back. And yeah, it feels good. It's got some good motion. I can do that. Oh, and we have aluminum uprights for the shocks here, front and rear. Yeah, and in the drivetrain, we also got the universals. We'll see that during the time lapse, but you can see the very skinny universals in there. It's kind of hard to see. See, it's right there. There's a lot of parts left in the box. So let's hide this. Boop. And we'll turn on this. Ooh, look at this. I'm gonna leave the video on just in case I want to pause the time lapse and then point things out on the car itself. There's no body work in the time lapse. All the body work, like the Avante, was done off stream. So the spraying and then the application of all the stickers. I did that off stream, and I didn't really I didn't record it. Just the mechanical stuff I recorded. Video is 1080p, and it was 7 hours. Now it's 27 minutes. I think it was 7 hours. I think it's about 7 hours. It was pretty long. There's no audio because I was watching GDQ, and it's going to be sped up anyway, so you don't need audio. And I'll just talk over it. So let's go. Boom. So you can see it comes with the... here's the high-speed gear kit. So I'm just showing off the different size of the gear kit. So it came with the 70 tooth, and then I got the 68 tooth high speed, but then I upgraded that to the 64, which is a 6.66 gear ratio. It's a 25 tooth pinion that I might upgrade. I also, of course, got the bearings, as you see I'm installing them now. And this is just like the central drive shaft. So I messed this up. I think I used the wrong bevel gear at first. Yeah, and there's the right bevel gear. So I have to take the old one and I switch it out. So I either already have, but if we pause it, I pressed the wrong button. I pressed the I broke it button. I'm used to pressing stop. Let's cut back ahead. Pause. So, can you see my mouse? You cannot see my mouse. So, the bevel gears on the end of the drive shaft here, I used the wrong bevel gears. I used the ones, what were they for actually? I don't remember exactly what they were for, but they were they were for the inside, the inside of the universals. or not the universals, the inside of the diff, the inside of the diff. Those were the bevel gears I used. They didn't go on right. And I was like, oh, I don't think that's right. And then I fixed it. And I put on the right bevels. So that's the one thing I fixed. To make sure I hit pause and not stop, because stop just destroys everything. So yeah, I got the drive shaft in. You need a little O-ring if you're using both the metal drive shaft and the O-ring. Or the metal drive shaft and the drive cups. Here I'm building the... Is it going so fast it makes me want to like talk fast? But in reality, this is still 27 minutes. This is lots of time, so I don't need to rush. But yeah, I'm making the differentials here. They're just the kit differentials. The only change is the drive cups have to be changed because I used Yeah Racing universals, so I needed the Yeah Racing drive cups to go with them. This car has almost as many hop-ups as the Avante, but unlike the Avante, pretty much most of them are not actually Tamiya hop-ups. But it's the only car with Tamiya bearings. Everything else I use the bearings from elsewhere. I guess the Avante came with Tamiya bearings, but... So yeah, I built both differentials. They were a lot like building the differentials for the Avante, except they used plastic gears here instead of metal gears. You can get metal gear versions. I don't know if I will, because I don't know if we're going to put that much power through it. And then I get it all greased up. Put on the little cover. I don't know what you call that. It's a cover of some sort. I keep testing it to make sure it's rolling smooth. Because if there's any binding, you have to take it apart and figure it out. I never figured out what was binding in the Avante. And I'm showing off the aluminum uprights for the shocks. Just the standard arms for the wheels. They don't have like adjustable top arms. I could have got adjustable top arms, but I decided against it because I think it should be fairly fine. I mean, the wheels look straight. If we pause it here and we pop back over to the X60 Pro, the wheels look very straight. They look very vertical. I'm happy with them. I don't feel any need to adjust them in or out. And then when I push up on them, they move straight. Oh, I should mention, the back has a modification. So the front sits very low, and it stopped sitting low by the length of the shock. I got the longer shocks. The back, though, it sat like this. That's as far as down it went, because there was a little piece of plastic in there. Let's get tweezers here. See that little piece of plastic up there? There was one of those on the bottom, and that prevented it from coming down this far. And because it was catching on the roads where I live aren't the best, I needed it up a little higher to match the front. So I clipped that off, and now it sits lower. So if we were to look at it from the front, this is what it used to look like. So I had to actually have this one adjusted way up. So the car sat about here. Now it sits here. It's a big difference when it comes to its ability to just drive on the roads here, period. I also think it looks a little better if it's a little higher. So we will turn off the camera and go back to the time lapse. So yeah, here I'm putting the things together. Also, there are breaks. It's a lot of short videos here. They're all cut together. And, oh yeah, the weird thing, after I got these uprights on, they didn't always fall. They'd stick up sometimes. Like, see, it's sticking up on one side, not on the other. They're lubed, so they shouldn't do that, but I mean, and they seem to be fine as a completed car. They don't bind or anything, so I guess it's fine. It just kind of bothered me when I was building it, but I forgot my train of thought. I forgot what I was going to say. I forgot to put some grease on the inside of the cups, the draft shaft. So I put that on there. Then I put that back together. Also, I've finally gotten improved screws. So I got hex bits for the larger driver, which makes a huge difference. So miserable. Yeah, so I'm just... See, I keep flicking the arms on the front to see if they'll loosen up. One of the arms on this side gets super stiff. but it doesn't affect its ability to drive. Like, that wheel doesn't move any slower or anything. So it all worked out in the end. No complaints. Overall, this was a very easy build. I was really shocked. There I was showing off the gear ratios, and then I was also showing off the gear ratios. So if we look here, 25 turn on 64 tooth, and I was showing that the motor's instruction supports a gear ratio of 6 to 8. So at 6.66 with a 25 is fine. I might get a 27 tooth and get it up to 616. I could go higher, but that's past the quote-unquote rating of the motor. But I do have a fan on it, so maybe it'll be fine. And you know what they say? These things, they're labeled for X, Y, or Z, but they actually can go a little farther. So I could get 28 tooth and really push it, because that's 5. That's almost a gear ratio of 6 to 1. Almost. So, but I'm thinking maybe the 27 tooth. Just pop it up just a little bit and see if that makes the difference to get a little more speed out of it. The smaller wheels that the Mazda has compared to the Avante is probably why, even though it's geared more aggressively, it doesn't go as fast. But yeah, no, building the car was very, very straightforward and easy. I think it's because it's the third car I built. I would say it also wasn't streaming it, but I was watching GDQ, so I was distracted. And I think it's just because I got better at building RC cars. And it is like an entry-level kit. Like, the Frog was like an 80s entry-level kit. And then the Avante is a modern high-end kit, and there's a ton of parts to it. And this is like a more modern, but not super modern entry-level kit again. TTO2 is more of an entry-level kit overall. Same motor and speed controller as the Avante, like I said. So I'm just installing the motor now. I got the aluminum motor mount. More greasing up all the gears. Make sure it all rolls smoothly. Get the top on there. And then it's me just putting in the screws. Putting in the screws in the mounts. I ended up losing a screw. And when I lost the screw for the motor mount, I had to switch them to hex mounts on the motors. So there was a pause in the video somewhere there. So that's one thing about this video that's different, is it wasn't like a long stream. I was taking breaks constantly. I took a couple like multi-hour breaks while building this car. And because it's time-lapse and it's multiple videos, you just can't tell. See, now I'm screwing on the front back rear bumpers. Oh yeah, pause here. So because of the uprights, let's go back to this. Boop. So the uprights here, right? Where these attach, the wheels. They're in the aluminum upright on one side. On the other side, there's a plastic piece right here that they go in. And that's held down with 2 screws here. But I had to just have them sitting loose for a good chunk of the build, because the carbon plate uses those screw holes. So the carbon plate actually comes with 2 plastic spacers for each side and longer screws, and they're hex screws. So once I got to the point where it's like, I don't need to be down here anymore, and it turned out I did because I hadn't installed the steering yet, but the carbon plate really wasn't in the way of the steering, and we'll get to that. But I had to kind of just make sure I didn't flip it upside down, because these would come off right here. These would come off. And they didn't, because I didn't flip it upside down. But now it's all screwed together nice and neat, because those longer screws go through the carbon plate and then attach to the chassis. So the carbon plate isn't just like screwed on loosey-goosey. It is like fundamentally attached to the chassis. It's just, I don't think it really solidifies the chassis. I just wanted extra build area, and plus carbon looks cool. It definitely makes it look not like a TTO2. Like, it looks like a TTO2, but it looks a little fancier. So we're going back to this now. So yeah, I'm using the hex bits to screw it on, and then I got out the drill because I was like, my hand hurts, and I can't use this little skinny screwdriver anymore. So yeah, I'm doing the bottoms now. It says a little lube on those, so I did. That's how you adjust the wheelbase. Is you can flip these around and they adjust the wheelbase, and then there's other parts you adjust that increase the ride height, but don't increase the ride height that much because the back does have limits because it does have parts that are screwed in. Oh, you saw the purple body for a bit. So at this point, the body's been sprayed, but I'm still waiting for the decals to arrive. And now I'm digging out the universal. So I'm getting in the drive cups, and then I'm breaking out the iRacing universals, which seem to be pretty good, but they felt like they were lubed. When we get to it, I'll pause it. Yeah. When I got the universal drive cup here, I guess I did it off camera. Maybe we'll do it in the rear. But even though they were lubed, I felt they could have used a bit more. So I put a little lube inside of them, and I just kind of rotated them to kind of work it all through. So yeah, they did arrive lube, but I felt they needed a little more grease. Oh, the cat's meowing. Hi, Caboose. He's very sad because I'm not paying attention to him, I guess. I don't know. So yeah, the universals were really nice because unlike the Tamiya ones, these are already put together. And that's nice because I'm lazy. They just kind of went in. Oh, right there. Right there. We're see where I'm rotating it? I got the grease in my hand here. And I'm rotating it because I'm just kind of working it in. So yeah, I put grease in there and I just kind of rotate it. So I'm not putting grease in the upright. I'm blobbing it. So I wonder if I can show this on camera. Here we go. So let's say this is like the universal shaft and this is my hand and it goes around like this. There's a little gap here where it all goes together. I was putting the grease in there and then I was just rotating the drive cup until it all kind of got worked inside. It kind of looks like on the high speed that I'm filling the what's it called, the upright with grease, but I'm not. It's just a little bit inside the universal and then rotating the universal to get it all worked in there. La la la, more screws. I took apart the front uprights because I forgot to put the grease. Oh, right. So yeah, I forgot to put the grease when I put it together inside this anti-wear grease. I forgot to put it on the inside of the universals into the drive cups. And I didn't forget here. And it says put a little lube on these screws too. So I did. Because they are pivot points. What's weird is how fast, like we're getting close to halfway through the video and a lot of the cars are already built. It's amazing how long stuff like the shocks take. There's just things that you don't think take up that much time, but they really do. But like building the steering and the shocks really eat up a ton of time. Oh, now we're into the shocks. So you can see it comes with black springs. I wish you could see my mouse. It comes with black springs and a whole bag of additional springs here. They're all one complaint I see about these shocks is they're all way too short. And what I did is I just used the springs that came with the friction dampers because they're longer. And I also liked how springy they were. I wanted them a bit stiffer, period. So it all worked out. All four shocks are the exact same length because it's just how it is. It's not like a buggy where they're longer in the back. And then I had to pick out the correct pistons and then the piston rods. And then it's just me building I had to figure out which end cap I wanted for my shocks too. So I believe I built one of the shocks that the car comes with to kind of decide. I was going to say, in hindsight, do I wish I built them longer? But no, because I don't think I want the front end. Because if the front I am once again pausing the time lapse. We head back to the car itself. The steering, you can see the arm is just down here. Right here. It actually, when there's no shock, drops, so this arm actually hits this plastic. So the front wheel can drop more, especially with the universal. The universal really keeps it from having any binding. I think one of the reasons why the back end has those limits so it can't go any farther up and down is because the drive cups and the dog bones this car comes with are huge. They're like twice as big as the ones installed in the car. Like the drive cups are just these little metal cups in there. Can't really see it. Yeah, right there. You can see the drive cup in there. We'll just rotate it. Yeah, see the drive cup? It's twice as big on the standard one, like the kit ones. And I think because of the size of that, the dog bone would hit if it went too low. I think this is fine. Like even the standard kit dog bones and stuff would be fine. A lot of people do this mod to their TTO2s to make it sit a little higher, to make their rally versions, but not much higher. I don't think you can go much higher than this. Also, the shocks leaked a bit from the top after I built them. Doesn't look like anything from the bottom, but a little bit from the top. They seem to be good now, but they did leak a little at the top. All right, back to the time-lapse-aroo. So yeah, I had choices of the blue, I think a gray. These are all aluminum, by the way, and the pink. And of course, I picked the pink. It's like, you're gonna give me pink shocks? I'm gonna pick the pink shocks. Yeah, the inside of the car is a mishmash of colors. We got the Tamiya blue, we have the purple for the magnet mounts, the pink for the shocks. I guess the black aluminum just kind of blends in, but it is quite the mishmash of colors. But yeah, this is just me building the shocks. I looked at putting 2 O-rings on the inside and the spacer, but then it wouldn't fit. So then I just put the O-rings, but I'm like, that wouldn't work. So I just built it like the instructions say. I'm like, I'm not the expert. And I started putting grease in the front. So when I built the Avante, I just put the damper oil around the O-rings on the front. But I've seen other people, when they build their shocks, put a little bit of the grease in there instead. So I did that. The little red cups, it says put them in. I think I might have left. I would have decided to leave them out if I was to build them again. And I could rebuild them because I do have more oil. I went with the medium that the buggy kit that I used in the Avante came with, because I used the hard oil the Avante came with in the Avante, and then the oil that came in the aluminum buggy bumpers that I bought, buggy dampers, came with this medium oil, and that's what I used for this car, because the medium oil with the strong springs I felt was going to be a good balance, and it was. I'm very happy with how it handles. But yeah, now it's just me building the shocks and then filling it up with the Tamiya. Well, it's pretty basic. Like, it's like what I did when I built the Frog and what I did when I built the Avante. Just building dampers. Get the springs on them, and they're very stiff. They feel very, very stiff. I was a little worried. I didn't screw them that aggressively, but after I got them on the car, I actually had to screw them a little shorter, and I don't know how the shorter springs it comes with would actually work, because they're almost screwed to the bottom as it is. So I guess I would have screwed them to the bottom, but it's all good. Pretty happy with how they turned out. But yeah, just, I don't know. There's not much to say about this part. There's parts where there's like lots to say, and I felt like I rushed talking over it, and then we get to the stuff like the shocks, and it's like, oh yeah, we're just gonna take forever to do this. There we go, though. That is 4 completed shocks, or I guess they're called dampers. And then I get out the balls, and so actually, one thing, let me pause it, because there is a difference between the car because like I said, I did work on the car actually off video. Not only did I cut off those parts on the back to let it sit lower, I ended up mounting, so it says to mount the shocks here. And when I built the car on stream or on video, time-lapse, I mounted the shocks here. And I did that because the back tires were up high anyways. They were forced to be up high. And in order to get the fronts to line up, the only way to get the fronts to line up was to mount them in this hole here. But then the shock was also kind of binding against it, and I wasn't happy with it. But then when I made this drop down more, it lined up with the front hole here. Also, while I'm using the are you gonna focus? Yeah, while I'm using the ball up top, I am using the screw with the metal thing on the bottom. So it's not, they're not mounted as you will see in the time lapse. The mounting has changed. So let us remove the H260 Pro and go back to it. And then we'll drink some more tea. Well, I arguably installed the shocks wrong. La 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 la. Because I think I used the ball on the bottom. Yes, I did use the ball on the bottom. I don't remember if I changed from balls to screws. Yeah. Before or after. You can see one screw is sitting out next to the side cutters. And I did switch to the screws midstream or mid time lapse here. I messed with the mounting of these shocks forever. I should have just did the mod and clipped off the thing. Oh, and I decided to install the bearings. So I got fresher with the shocks. So I'm like, I'll just install the bearings now, because the bearings are going to be held in with the aluminum hex nuts, because those don't come off. They're red. You don't know because you can't see them because the wheels are in the way, but they're there. And then I go back to this because I'm like, okay, now that I've done something different, I guess we'll go back to the thing I'm struggling with. Okay, yeah, so I did go to the screws with spacers. Man, it's just me fighting with these. Just really trying to figure out what exactly I want to do. And I'm never actually happy. I know I'm never happy because I worked on it after stream too, or after this time-lapse video. So we got the tires. Mostly because I wanted to see how high it sits. Look at this. All these steering parts I got out. No steering parts from the kit are used. Don't use the instructions from the TT02, and I don't use any steering parts from the TT02. It's all these. So now there's just a mess of hop-ups. So here I am hooking everything up because you got to center the servo. I'm going to do the test to make sure everything's working right. The fan isn't turning. Okay, so let's pause here. So you notice I'm messing with the Osinki fan and it's not working. I was sure I had it plugged in the right way around. I had it plugged in backwards. And for some reason, when you plug the fan in backwards, it just doesn't spin. But it does get hot. It gets very hot. And because the entire fan is aluminum, it actually gets really hot and the entire fan gets hot. So I was just messing with that. I thought it was broken. I'm like, why is it broken? Then I read it and oh, there it goes. And then it spins because I'm like, oh, I had it in backwards. So as you can see now, it's spinning. And then it's me doing the calibration to make sure it's all running peak efficiency, and then take it all apart. And now I got the centered servo. Put together the aluminum servo saver. So just building that. It's basically the same servo saver as the Avante, except the Avante's is plastic and not aluminum. I could have bought this exact same part for the Avante. I didn't. And then there I am installing the black aluminum. So this is normally, HD60 Pro. Normally, there's two little plastic things. So there's one screw here and here. You can see their hexes now. But there's screws that go here and here, and those single screws attach to plastic posts. And the plastic posts have two screw holes in it, which attaches to the servo. But this aluminum one bridges across the whole top. So it gives you a whole bunch more like rigidity, because instead of just being a screw on one side holding the servo and a screw on the other side, it's like all one solid piece double screwed to the servo. So it makes it that much more rigid for steering. Like the steering in this thing is very tight now. It's it turns when you want it to turn. It's like the Avante. I guess I would recommend some level of steering upgrades because there's a lot of play in the plastic steering. Well, there is at least in the buggy version of the car. I'm assuming this version is the same because it uses mostly the same hop-ups. So here I am installing the screws that go in. They have hex at the top. I'm measuring them with the calipers to make sure they're the right height up. And then you screw in these aluminum bits, and that's what the arms slide on. So there's like no play. It's like rock solid. And it's all bearings and stuff like that. It's really nice. Oh, drop frames, drop frames. Why are you dropping frames? 97 drop frames. It's late. You're not supposed to drop frames now. So yeah, I almost considered taking off the carbon to install the steering, but it turns out the carbon really wasn't in the way. I really didn't have any issues. It was all pretty straightforward. Like the issues I was having getting everything lined up and screwed would have happened regardless if I had the carbon fiber plate across the top or not. So there I am using the hex, because the reason why it's got hex screws is because I lost the screws it came with. I dropped one and I still haven't found it, and I'm like, well, I'll just replace them with hexes. And I did. Because I have lots of extra screws now. All these hop-ups. Extra screws, extra bearings, all these extra parts. So here I am installing the tie rods, adjustable tie rods. The kit does not come with adjustable tie rods. And then it's just me adjusting them. So I got to build the tires before I can adjust them, though, to make sure they're running straight. Oh, and then I install the bumper first. Foam. Yeah, these tires are so squishy. This foam makes a difference, but it still feels really squishy. So yeah, it's just me kind of just getting it all inside there. I decided to do it this way because this is how the dual block that I put on the Frog went together. Oh yeah, the Frog. I'm going to do a Frog stream again soon. The Frog has had some changes, and the Frog got broken. So when the parts come to fix the Frog, I'll talk about the Frog. I'll review it and show you the upgrades I've done off stream. But yeah, no, here I am putting the tires together. They're pretty simple. No big problems or complaints. And then I'm just trying to get everything nice and centered. I got to power it up again at some point to center the servo and get all done. This is where I'm figuring out how to mount the cooler. I ended up using the power cable for the fan to hold the fan, because the way it's all set up, the fan could technically rotate away from the... let me just pause it here. So how it's set up, because the motor's round, the fan could technically rotate away from the motor. But hilariously, the thickness of the carbon fiber plate lines up perfectly with the fan, so when it's pressed tight against the carbon fiber plate, it's vertical. As you can see, it's kind of moved, it's drifted out a little bit. I just pushed it in. But yeah, it lines up perfectly. And then I just used the power cable of the fan wrapped around here to keep it from rotating out. But as you can see, it did rotate a little bit. La 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 la, but I can't rotate too far. Boop. Okay, back to time-lapse. So you zip ties, and it's just me trying to figure out where to put the motor wires. I initially put the motor wires, you'll see, right against the motor. And then I'm like, oh, wait, the motor's going to get hot. And we don't want to melt the wires, so we actually don't want it against the metal side of the motor. We can have it wrapped against the plastic back of the motor, but not the side. So you'll see the motor wires get fed along the wrong way. I'm especially proud of this. If you look next to the speed controller and the motor, there's coiled wire, 3 wires. That's the sensor cable, beautifully coiled up and zip tied, so it fits right in that gap. It's lovely. I used a Velcro on the bottom of the speed controller, the electronic speed controller, because it seemed like the best option. Because if I decide to upgrade the motor, I want to be able to remove the speed controller. So I might get a Hobbywing 1060 and a much faster motor. Oh, there I am putting the body on. So the body is sprayed purple, but it doesn't have the covering removed. And of course, there's no decals at this time. When I was recording this, the decals had not arrived. Neither the stuff from Sticker U or the... Oh, here you can see the motor. I'm putting all the wires right next to what's going to be a hot motor. I'm a little disappointed because they fit in there beautifully. And then I'm like, wait, no, I can't do that. So then I have them come up a little over the servo. And because they're coming up over the servo, I couldn't put the receiver there anyways. And then I put the switch on with Velcro, but it didn't stick well. And I'm like, ugh. So then I stick it on with double-sided sticky tape that came in the kit. And I put on a on-off switch sticker right on the switch. I'm really happy. Like, putting the battery in this car is the easiest of every car I own, and the on-off switch is beautifully placed. I'm going to put the receiver in the center over on the other side. Just making sure all the wires will reach to it. And then I stick it on there. Because I want the antenna to just go up the center of the car. If you look at the Mazda 3, it has a lot of height in the back, so the antenna can go up a fair bit. So here I'm centering it, and then it's just me adjusting the tie rods. So the first one I'm adjusting is getting it to sit straight. I think I failed a little bit. But I got all my endpoints set, so I don't want to mess with it again. It drives straight-ish. Here I'm adjusting the endpoints. And then taking the battery and sticking the car body back on. It looked good. Oh, here I got the purple magnet mounts out. So we do the back first. I don't know if I did magnets during this. I guess I glued the magnets on. Guess we're gonna see how I did that. We're also getting near the end of the video. It's 22 minutes in and we're 27 minutes long. So the car is drivable now. So we're definitely near the end. Right now I'm just working on the body mounts. They didn't come with instructions, and looking at pictures, I was like, not sure what to do. So I kind of just did my own thing. Maybe that's why I couldn't get to work on the front. I don't know. I just didn't understand. The thing is, the other type of magnet mount I have has smaller magnets, but thankfully I just used the larger magnets that came with this one. And here I'm centering it. Making sure it looks all good. And then I just start cutting them down until it gets down to the height I want. Fun fact, off camera, I did lower the body more than what you see in this video. I did end up making it a bit lower. It was still a bit high. If we were to pause it, as I want to do, and we turn on the 60 Pro, and we get the body, we plop that on there, because it's magnet. Oh, I love how it just sticks on there. But yeah, if we stand it up like this, you can see, you can just barely see the red. If you tilt it this way, you can see it. But when it's sitting flat and flush, you can't see the red chassis. before it was sitting up so high that you could see just a little bit of the red chassis here. And it looked kind of stupid with the gap on the wheels. Also, you can see the antenna wire coming up pretty high in the back end. It's like up here in the back window. Hwah! Isn't this art great? This is my favorite art. Can you tell? I made sure the artist's signature also got stuck on here too, because they did good work. All the credits. I wish this sticker would stay on. Oh my goodness. It's this one tail light right here. I have my rounded tweezers. No, those are my sharp tweezers. I have rounded tweezers I was using to put this stuff down. I don't know why this one doesn't stay together. In the front, oh man, there's so many stickers on the front. Oh, and they're kind of starting to come off a bit. This thing is truly a sticker nightmare. It turns out there's more of the car I should have painted a different color. I should have got gray paint. And I should have painted this gray. I did not know at the time. Oh, that's where the damage is. Oh. So I was driving it and the top of the car slid. I didn't see where the damage was, but it's on the front light here. Look at that. That's the damage. I did not see where I did the damage. I was like, oh, it slid, and then it looked fine. Because the problem with the magnet mount is it hit a big bump. And it popped off, and it kind of slid for a bit. But I didn't know where the damage was. Look at that. We're building the magnet mounts. I'll talk about the magnet mounts. So this is the rear setup. These are bigger magnets. These type that just sit on top of the body mounts. They sit on top with a pin. So you can just pull the pin out like this. These are actually come with smaller magnets for some reason. So I just used the larger magnets that came in the kit for this kit on the front because they just screw on just as well. That's what I got on the front. But I think the end of this video is coming up, and I think it's mostly just me trying to get the body on via magnet mounts. So I use metal tape on the outside to hold it into position, because once I get the magnets placed with the metal tape, I can then just stick the other sides of the magnets, super glue them in, and then they're just held in place with the super glue drying. So right now the super glue is drying for the back. I'm trying to figure out the front. And you can see I'm trying to figure out, like, how does this mount? I don't understand. I'm putting the things on there. I just don't get it. Doesn't make any sense to me. I'm like, oh, this way? Is it this way? Do I put it this way? Big tired. Oh yeah, I'm going to stream Fall Guys soon. That's the dream. I got it installed. You can't say I didn't install it because I installed it. That's half the battle. So yeah, here's where I got out the other. You can see the smaller magnets in the bag. Those are the magnets that come with the different type of mounting. I'm like, just screw it. I'll just put these bigger ones on there. It'll be the same difference. Do I need all this extra mounting hardware? And I really didn't need it because these, I've got it cut down to like super low. They're like only have 2 holes left to stick out. So I'm like, it's already this low. It doesn't need to be, it doesn't need the stability from this bar across. Plus it freed up the bars that I was able to use to mount the antenna holder. So we'll get to that. Right now I'm cutting it, but not sure enough. I'm scared. I'm just cutting it off like one at a time because I don't want to cut off too much. So then I have to buy new body posts. And I'm like, I don't want to buy new body posts. So I'm just cutting it off really carefully. But it turns out I had to cut it off a lot because I just did it one at a time and measured one at a time, one at a time. So there I am putting super glue. These you can actually see me put inside. They're held in place by the magnets. seeing how things feel, figuring out how I want to mount the antenna. Now that I have like extra parts, I'm like, well, what can I attach? And I'm like thinking, can I use body pins and stick this piece up there? And I'm like, no, it's not going to work because it's going to be dangling and I want it to be solid. Eventually, one of these long things has a hole in the end, which I fed it the antenna through, and the other one has a hole in the very tip that's threaded. So at one point, I'm able to screw it onto the screw that sticks at the bottom, and then stick on one of the these purple pieces, and then it just kind of goes in there. So that's me discovering that you can screw it on the bottom, and then I'm sticking it in there, and then I have that sticking out there, and we have the antenna mount. And it's nice because it's like rock solid, because it's all like screwed together, so it is completely solid. It doesn't move at all, and it holds the antenna securely, nice and high. I put 2 zip ties on it, and on this video, I do believe, but only 1 zip tie is on it now. It doesn't need 2 zip ties. That was overkill. I don't know why I did 2, but yeah, it's only got 1 now. You're moving those, and then just like doing the test fit, because we're at the end now. Oh, that's me driving it around a bit. And now we've started over. We're back at the beginning. So there we go. How long has this stream been? An hour? Almost an hour. Yeah. Which is a far cry from the previous car building streams, because they've been over an hour. They've been multiple hours. Which then brings me into the next RC car stream. It won't be my next stream, but I'm going to be building a grasshopper. Yes, another car from the 80s. This is going to be like an auxiliary car for other people to drive. So it's not going to be on this 3PV. This has 3 cars on it. Can do 10, but I'm only going to have these 3 for now. The Mazda, the Avante, and the Frog. The Grasshopper is going to have its own receiver, its own transmitter. And yeah, it's got its own hop-ups. We're not using the incredibly, hilariously tiny motor it comes with. We're going to go up to a full size. In fact, we're using the torque-tuned motor that came in this kit. We're using that motor, so it's not going to waste. I had to buy 0 bearings for it because it uses the same bearings as the Frog, and because I just bought a big 25 pack of bearings for the Frog, and I don't need 25. I had all the bearings I need except for you needed one small bearing. And that one small bearing is the same size as in the Avante ball diffs that I didn't build. So I had all the bearings already. So the only things I bought for the Grasshopper, besides the transmitter and the servos, was the pinion you need for the 540 motor. That's it. Just the pinion for the 540 motor, and then the transmitter. The motor I already had, the bearings I already had. So it's an economical build, one might say. It's going to be actually pretty fun. I'm looking forward to it. It's a hard plastic body, so I'm not going to be painting the body. And I do believe the stickers are all cut out. I just have to decide if I want to put the driver in that. I never put the driver in the Frog. I could put the driver in that. I did also foil up some light cups. We foiled up these big ones for the Grasshopper, because I didn't actually use the lighting kit for the Avante, and I didn't use the lighting kit for the Mazda. I also have this different shape of light. I didn't finish foiling it because I don't know if I'm going to use it, but I do have somewhere, I've misplaced it, that 4 white LED. So I'm going to use the big drive cups, like they are in the Grasshopper, and then I have these smaller drive cups these smaller light cups that I foiled that I want to put on the front. So it's going to have 4 lights up front. I think that'll look cool. I just have to track down the lights. I don't know where the LEDs went. I put the lighting controller in the box, but I don't know what I did with the LEDs. I thought they were in the box for the Avante, They're not. I thought they were the hop-ups. They're not. They're not in the Mazda box. I just do not know where I put that LED pack. So I'm sad. So I had to track those LEDs down. Because they're somewhere. And once I track them down, I will be thrilled. But yeah, I'm waiting on some stuff for the Grasshopper. Not everything came at once, unfortunately. The transmitter was supposed to come with 2 servos in the box, and there was not 2 servos in the box. But that's been all worked out, so now I'm just waiting for my servos to arrive. And that's it. That's it for the stream. It was an exciting stream. First stream after my 1-year anniversary stream. Next stream will be, I don't know. My calendar's very full. I have a very full calendar, as it turns out. I want to do it maybe it'll be next week, because I have 2 days off in a row, but I have stuff to do on one of those days, so we'll see. I don't know, but yeah, that's it for this stream. It was a good time for me to show off the Mazda. I felt this would be an interesting way to look at the build process, a time lapse instead of a let's just build it all. Even if I built it, though, I find it really interesting that this car took 7 hours. That means this car took less time to build than the Frog, which is interesting because I think this car is more complicated than the Frog. It definitely has more hop-ups than the Frog. So I think building the Frog and then building the Avante and then now building this, I've learned a lot. But yeah, that's it. I'm going to go because it's late and I'm streaming after work. It's funny, sometimes I'm after work and I'm like, do I want to stream? I'm tired. But now that I've been streaming, I'm like, yeah, let's go. Let's do it. Let's do it. I'm ready for the world. But no, I'm going to go to bed because I haven't even eaten yet. I just kind of started doing this. So yeah, I thank you all for watching. I should drink more tea because I feel like my voice is fading, and I wish you all a fond farewell.